Thank you. No, I want to thank everybody for coming today. I think we have a very simple strategy. Best team, best product, best channel. We have a channel that's fantastic. We're very proud to have you guys here. Here we have, I would say, about half of channel partners represented, but globally, it's close to 90 partners that cover 48 countries, which is really a fantastic channel. The first time that there's a professional channel in the metal printed space. Channel has existed in plastic, and has existed, heavily in the CNC world. But in terms of metal 3D printers, they were primarily sold kind of like a cottage industry. You had family-owned German companies that developed sort of the powder bed fusion world, and they were sold direct in a vertically integrated way. And it's just been recently that some of these companies have sort of either been acquired by a GE or other conglomerates like that, but they're still selling in a direct way. Desktop Metal is a 100% channel-driven company, and that gives us scale. And we have partners that are very experienced at selling this type of equipment, previously in plastic or in the CNC world. And I think we're going to be able to have huge impact for our customer base in driving this technology. So we're the early stages. So thank you very much for coming from all around the world to this, which is our first partner summit, first of many. And we hope that when you come back in a decade from now, this is a much bigger family with a much broader product portfolio. And this technology is now being used in most vehicles, most consumer electronic products, and not just in the mass production side, but also all the way down in the design cycle. And over time, we'll drive penetration of this so that it becomes like any other technology that we use today that's already in mass production. I want to really thank the Vice President for his generosity to come and spend time with us today, and to be able to show him what we're doing here with really advanced technology that really had its genesis at MIT, at Ellie Sachs's lab 20 years ago, and now it's gotten to the maturity that we're starting to really advance it and turn it into products that are mass market. So again, thank you very much for coming today. I'd like to hand it over to Vice President Al Gore, and thank you very much for coming.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And Rick, thank you. We've known each other a long time, and it's not the first company led by Rick that I've had the pleasure to be associated with. Indirectly, I want to thank my partner and colleague Win Shea at Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield and Byers, who has introduced me to Rick for a long time ago. But I want to acknowledge Rick and Professor Ellie Sachs, whose pioneering discoveries 2 decades ago are at the heart of these advances, and Jonah Meyerberg, the other co-founder, who I've also known for quite a long time, and I look forward to talking with Jason Ponton a little bit later. An economist in the 20th century, now deceased, once said that things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen much faster than you thought they could. There are so many technologically based breakthroughs that require a change in the thinking of people who learn about them and use them and connect them to other processes. And it's quite a common phenomena for these revolutionary breakthroughs to take some time. There's a parable in business history, the parable of the electric dynamo, when the first electric engines were created. People thought there would be a supernova of extra productivity. And in that era, factories themselves were still commonly vertical in design, with water wheels or some other stationary source of power, and fan belts coming off on different levels. And when they put the electric dynamos in these old designs, nothing really happened until the old factories were fully depreciated, torn down, replaced with the kinds of factories that we still see everywhere today, flat and low to the ground, with the opportunity to co-locate the electric engines with each place where the work needed to be performed. And then all of a sudden, things happened much faster than anyone thought they could. In some ways, maybe it's a tortured analogy, but I think it does apply to the pattern of use with 3D printing. The initial discoveries and initial breakthroughs were extremely exciting, but it took time because so many other changes had to take place: the infrastructure, the thinking, the design of parts that could unleash the potential of 3D printing. But now here we are, and you hear phrases like the Cambrian explosion of parts design. The old cliche, if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, applies also to the designers of parts who have an extrusion process or a metal casting process, and so their imaginations are squeezed into the limitations of the tools that they have always used. Now, again, to take a quote from the famous architect Mies van der Rohe, form should follow function. Now, with the generative design, the function allows computer-aided design, which this generative design process, and it's incredible how much extra efficiency is unleashed. As some of you know, I have long worked for the emergence of solutions to the climate crisis, and I'm not going to focus my remarks on that this morning. I hope you appreciate the restraint that I'm exhibiting here. It is by far and away the most serious crisis we face. But some of the solutions to the climate crisis are going to come with this fourth industrial revolution, as some call it, and new levels of efficiency and sharp reductions in energy use and materials use. And 3D printing, as you see here with Desktop Metal's products already, represents one of the key enabling technologies. I've come to believe that the world is in the early stages of a sustainability revolution, empowered by new technologies like 3D printing and machine learning and artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things and other new digital technologies that actually are giving executive teams the ability to manipulate protons and electrons and atoms and molecules and genes, for that matter, with the same precision that the IT companies have demonstrated in managing bits of information. I think this sustainability revolution, which is unleashing levels of hyper-efficiency that people could not have dreamed of in the past, has the magnitude of the Industrial Revolution, but the speed of the digital revolution. And digital printing is a clear part of this transformative process. Just look, for example, that this one of the two new machines that Desktop Metal is now offering for sale, and that some of these pioneers here are using in innovative new ways, is 100 times faster than the previous 3D printing technologies, and enables a sharp reduction in the use of materials, not to mention an even sharper reduction in the use of energy that often is, the creation of the energy is often one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gases, but a sharp reduction in the use of energy necessary to make parts in the old way. So what is happening here is extremely important, not only for the future of manufacturing, the future of industry, and the future of business, but for the future of our civilization itself. I haven't even mentioned the reduction in the cost of shipping parts. And again, all of the policy contexts within which the old processes occurred have to be re-examined and rethought. As somebody who had a previous lifetime in politics, I can only imagine the challenges that these policymakers are going to confront. I hope they're up to it. But one analogy you often hear is that 3D printing will change manufacturing as profoundly as mass production did more than 100 years ago. It also, to repeat the point on materials, considerably extends the process that was labeled dematerialization of the economy a long time ago. We have already seen the tripling of the value of world GDP, even as the gross tonnage of world GDP has remained constant. And that process of dematerialization, if you will, is vividly illustrated by the kind of 3D printing that Desktop Metal is now putting into the hands of manufacturers and business leaders and industry leaders all around the world. So for those of you who have come from other countries, particularly, and for those of you who have come from all over the United States of America and North America, congratulations on discovering early on in this sustainability revolution where to find one of the most exciting new tools that can make you a leader in your respective businesses and your respective industries. I'm very excited that Rick and his team are leading the entire world. And I'm very proud to play a small part in helping them begin this new phase. And I'm very excited to be a part of this event today. Thank you very much.